Hello, welcome back. It is a new day. It doesn't feel like a sleigh, but who knows? But you know what it does feel like? A new video where I have something to say. I wanted good vibes for this video so much. Today was supposed to be a good day. I had a lot of high hopes for this video. I had a lot of plans and ideas. I woke up so late, but nonetheless, here I am. So first and foremost, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I recently posted my video for the Black Queen. It was part 1 and part 2. And part 2, I made a promotional video advertising it. And the author of the Black Queen, Jumata Emill, actually reposted my video and commented and liked, and it was really very surreal moment for me because that same morning I was like, what if I just quit doing this? Like, no one would know, only like my relatives would really know if I did, and I could just go about my life. And of course, this process is so time consuming. I'm sitting at my computer for hours editing. Obviously, taking time out of my 2 days off to record is a choice that I've made because I like doing this, but it's definitely not an easy choice to make. So getting that validation was really comforting, and it made me feel like, I'm doing this and someone's paying attention. Like, I do this obviously because I like it, but I want other people to like it too. Like, I want us to all have fun together. So it was really comforting to have the author kind of watch at least the promotional video. With that being said, I did review The Black Queen, and if you watch that review, it was not my favorite book. I had some criticisms. I had some things that I liked about it, of course, and you know what? I'm here to tell you that I might have been wrong. I might have been wrong to be as harsh as I was, and I will acknowledge that I was a little harsh with my delivery on these criticisms, and I should have been a little bit nicer about it, at least in the sense, like, I didn't need to be mean. Like, I could have still said what I needed to say, but I didn't need to be as blunt about it. And first and foremost, if you'll remember, at the end of that video, I said that just because I didn't necessarily like The Black Queen doesn't mean that I wouldn't read a book from this author in the future, and that I hope that they grow as an author and that any new releases from a male perspective specifically might be better. With that being said, as I may have mentioned, I can't remember if I did at this moment, Jumata Emill recently came out with a new release titled Wander in the Dark, which was published on January 30th of this year. So I thought, with a lot of the videos that I posted so far, I've included any new releases that those authors were coming out with. And I said to myself, how do I kill two birds with one stone? And here's how. So my problem is that I want more people to pay attention to me, and watch my videos, but I can't necessarily do that reviewing books that have already come out, even though I will stay true to that. These books will be read and reviewed, I promise you. So I decided that I was going to read Wander in the Dark to, put my money where my mouth is and see if this book was better than The Black Queen, or at least if I liked it better than The Black Queen. So I didn't buy the book, but I will say that I did want to, and the only reason I didn't was because I couldn't find it at my local bookstore. So thankfully, Libby had it on audiobook version, so I was listening to that, and I am pleasantly surprised. Right now, the ratings for Wander in the Dark are significantly higher than The Black Queen, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I liked it. I actually loved it. I really did enjoy Wander in the Dark, which I know I will get into my review a little bit later. But I just want to give you a little spoiler alert. I did like it, and I think it's a great example of when authors take the criticisms and hear what readers have to say about their initial release and then adapt and incorporate some of those. Rather, they learn from the criticisms and I don't want to say mistakes, but they evolve from previous releases and continue to grow and build. Okay, so I'm going to do a little spoiler. One of the biggest criticisms that I had, as well as a lot of other people on the internet, was that in The Black Queen, Tinsley had too many chapters from her point of view. We didn't get too much about Duchess. It was just a lot of Tinsley. In this book, it is also a dual perspective from brothers Amir Trudeau and Marcel Trudeau, but these perspectives were almost equal in terms of how many chapters each character got. There are some where the characters kind of double up, but that's only if it's a short chapter, which is I'm gonna estimate a page, so something very quick. Then those characters will get a second chapter in their same perspective, but otherwise it was very equal. And because it was equal, we got a good inside look into each character, their personalities, motivations, fears, and all that good stuff. So I was a lot more connected with the characters. And I think, again, it's a perfect example of someone taking a criticism, learning from it, and putting it into use in new projects. But wait, before we continue, this is not our filming location. No, no, no. Once again, I've brought it back. So let's take you over there. Oh, this is fucking perfect. Oh my god, I'm so innovative right now. The reveal you've all been waiting for. I know I'm super close, but that's so that my big bulbous head can hide this. Dun 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 dun. As you'll notice, this is a lint roller with my microphone attached to it because, as I learned from the Black Queen when I was turning, you couldn't hear me that well. So I was like, I need like a microphone. But you know, right now there's no AdSense, there's no revenue coming in, so we're gonna work with what we have. Okay. I need a pointer, but I left the Swiffer somewhere, so this rolled up Hello Kitty poster. Rolled up because we no longer support Hello Kitty because they support Israel. So, as you may notice, we have a lot of different pictures on this board representing the different characters we meet in Wander in the Dark by Jumata Emill, as I previously mentioned. Just as you can probably tell, these animated characters up here are from the show Miraculous Ladybug, which it's time that I come clean. It's time that I come to terms with it in front of the global YouTube audience, aka my 6 family members. Actually, I also wanted to say, recently we hit a milestone on the channel. I now have 10, count 'em, 10 subscribers, and at least some of them, I'm not going to boldly presume how many, are people that are not related to me, because I'm very thankful. A lot of my family members and relatives have been very supportive of me and my endeavors and have subscribed, liked, viewed my YouTube videos. But I recently hit 10 subscribers, and my last video, The Bluest Eye, had a lot of comments, likes, and a lot of support from people, again, that are not related to me. So I was really happy about that. That really made me like giggle and squeal a little bit. So thank you to everyone that has been subscribed so far. I will continue to work hard and push out this content as you require. So anyway, as a brief little spoiler-free synopsis, so this book follows half-brothers, estranged half-brothers, Amir and Marcel Trudeau. One day at Marcel's birthday party, I forget how old he's turning, but it's at his birthday party, his best friend, Chloe Danvers, is murdered. And suspect number 1 in her murder is his brother, Amir Trudeau. The brothers must come together to find out who actually killed Chloe while uncovering some secrets that are hidden in the members of this town community. I think this will be like a mini series of like catching up with the authors of like all the books that I've previously read, looking at their new content and comparing and contrasting. So this is again another murder mystery, another YA thriller murder mystery, if you will. This one takes place in New Orleans. The day that Chloe is murdered, well, I guess not technically, it's Fat Tuesday, which if you know anything about me, Fat Tuesday is my favorite holiday of the year. Not Mardi Gras. Let me be specific. Fat Tuesday. I am a firm believer in the practice of Fat Tuesday. I get I'm gonna not pronounce this correctly. I get potchkies every single year. I will take the day off to get potchkies every single year. I'm kind of sad that I didn't prepare this ahead of time. Otherwise, I could have had one while making this video, but hindsight is 2020. Okay. So Marcel is throwing his birthday party. At this birthday party is his best friend, Chloe Danvers, pictured here. Also at this party is Trey Winslow, her now ex-boyfriend. They have broken up. Why? I don't know. Also, his sister, Tiffany Winslow. Now, he's pictured as Carlton because that's what they all, like, the characters call him Carlton. So I was like, it worked really perfectly, okay? Who else is there? Jared Lanford, another one of Chloe's exes. No one else on here that I have a picture of, except, notably, Chloe invites Marcel's estranged half-brother, Amir Trudeau. Now, they all go to the same school together. Amir transferred to their private school after he got into some trouble at his old school, but they don't really talk to each other. Amir is a little bit older than Marcel is, and they just don't have, like, the best relationship, okay? Okay. So just so you have an idea of their, like, family dynamic and how it's set up, Martin Trudeau is Amir's father, right? He used to be married to Amir's mother, Monica Trudeau. He cheated on Monica. I know, fucking bitch. He cheated on Monica with Miss Lily over here because, or she didn't believe in his dreams of becoming a chef. Another reason why this book really spoke to me, I also have divorced parents. I'm no stranger to interesting family dynamics. So this really spoke to me. This really spoke to me. Okay. I went to therapy. I don't need to talk about it on YouTube. Anyway, Lily and Martin ended up getting married. They had Marcel. So, half brothers. This whole family, dysfunctional. Okay, at this party, Chloe is like kind of flirting with Amir a little bit. They have like a weird thing going on because Amir has no idea why Chloe is talking to him. And she's like trying to be flirty, but also not. So it's like weird, okay? So at this party, Marcel finds Chloe and her ex boyfriend Trey fighting in Amir's old bedroom. He can't necessarily hear what they're fighting about, but it looks a little heated, right? Okay. There's so many fights going on at this party. Later on, Amir also gets into a fight with Trey. Amir's friend Buster, who is not pictured here, gets into a fight with some dude named Jared. Amir and Trey get into a fight, but Marcel kind of gets in between them and is like, hey guys, it's my birthday. Please don't fight. This fight ends with Amir taking Chloe home because they're kind of like fighting because Trey's like, Chloe's just using you to make me jealous, but I'm not jealous, but I am. Chloe ends up having Amir take him. I can't speak. Chloe ends up taking, no, oh my God, I'm gonna jump. Chloe asks Amir to take her home, which he does. So they leave together. But before they go to Chloe's house, Amir takes her to an abandoned church that he likes to go to. They don't spend too much time there. After they go to the church, Chloe is like, this is really creepy. I don't want to be here. And he's like, okay. So they end up going back to Chloe's house. Now, at Chloe's house, they end up getting high and they're playing Truth or Dare. And Amir tells her that the reason they have such a strained relationship between him and his half-brother is because when they were kids, Marcel and Amir were playing in the yard, I guess, and they had a dog at the time named Sparkle. I should have had a picture for Sparkle. I'm so sorry. Marcel tied firecrackers to Sprinkle's tail. Sprinkle got really freaked out, ran into the street, and died. So Lily, Marcel's mother, blamed Amir, and Marcel said, yeah, Amir did it. So they accused him of being a murderer. So that's why they have a strained relationship, because after that happened, Martin, his own fucking father, said, don't come back to my house to a fucking 9-year-old. I don't have the red flags because I didn't print them out in time, but just know that this man is on my shit list. So yeah, they're revealing some stuff to each other, but eventually they fall asleep for the night. Amir wakes up at around 2 a.m. He goes looking for Chloe because at that point they were on the couch together, just kind of chilling, right? And he wakes up on the couch alone. He goes to find Chloe because he's like, I need to get home before my mom gets off of work. She's a nurse. When he goes into Chloe's room, she finds that the whole place has been trashed. Her belongings are strewed everywhere, and Chloe is sprawled out on her bed, and she's been stabbed to death. Oh, I know. So sorry, girl. So sorry, Chloe. Amir flees the scene of the crime. The next morning, Marcel is with his father and Lily in the kitchen. They're kind of talking about like the events of the night before, but they see on the news that it's been announced that Chloe has been murdered, and a neighbor's Ring doorbell camera found footage, someone fleeing the Danvers home at around 2 a.m. They don't see who it is because this is a hooded figure, but Marcel knows exactly who it is based by the shoes the person was wearing, that it was Amir. So at home, Amir has like thrown away the clothes he was wearing for the day. He's completely freaked out. He fled the scene of the crime, because the sight of blood really freaks him out. He's like, I forget, what is the word they say? Hemoglyphobic? When I edit this, I'll put whatever it was supposed to be. Okay. And of course, Amir knows that if the police had found him, if he called the police to report Chloe had been murdered, he would have been arrested, arraigned, and put in prison right then and there. He knows that. So of course, he ran away. He was freaked out. So Amir is trying to act as if everything's normal. He's like, no one knew I was there. It's okay. But Martin and Marcel, they burst into Amir's home. Amir was talking with his mother. They were just having breakfast, right? It was supposed to be a normal fucking day. Marcel and Martin bust into the door, and Martin immediately accuses him. He's like, what did you do to that girl? And Amir's like, I did not do anything. So they're trying to talk, but they're having a very loud argument. So while they're all trying to fight, figure out what's going on, the police come to Amir's house and arrest him. So the police's theory is that Amir was trying to rob Chloe because she's very rich, as we know. And the reason they think he tried to rob her was because Amir actually had a previous history where they tried to arrest him for robbery because he was with his friend Buster, who is not seen here. He broke in to his ex-girlfriend's home to steal back some of the things that he gave her, and Amir was there, but he did not know that that was what he was doing. So when the cops came to arrest Buster, they also arrested Amir, but he was let go since his friend admitted to acting completely alone. Amir did not know what was going on, so he was let go, but he was still like, not like a record, but something similar. Amir has been charged with first-degree murder, which I guess in the state of Louisiana, the sentence for first-degree murder is either life in prison or the death penalty. He's 17, by the way. They're essentially saying that Amir had planned to kill Chloe ahead of time, thought about it, and did so maliciously. They didn't even talk to each other at all before this happened, so how they managed to get that, no fucking clue. But I do know. Racism. Where's my sticker? If you've seen, there's a little cameo of my I poop on racist sticker. It's been expanded. Let me show you. Look at that. We are in business. Okay. His bail is set at $1 million. And even if they put up bail for him, he has to be on an ankle monitor and under house arrest. He's 17 years old. But you know, Martin Trudeau is now a very famous chef. So he very easily puts up $1 million bail and gets him a really good lawyer named Mr. Dillard, who is also not pictured. I ran out of ink and I had to replace it, and it was just like a whole thing. Oh God, okay. Marcel goes to a balloon release ceremony in Chloe's honor, which was not organized by him. Let me say the quote that he says, because that shit was funny as hell. So this other girl that was not really close with Chloe ends up organizing the whole thing, and Marcel calls her a pointed nose, busybody, last season's Gucci loafers wearing ass. And I genuinely cackled. I thought that was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever heard in my life. But it's held at Chloe's house. Marcel ends up going up to her room to kind of like make peace with everything. He's like, oh man, I just lost my best friend. I just want to be in this room and, you know, be reminded of the person she was. While he's looking in her room, he gets kind of curious. He gets kind of snoopy. He looks into one of her little side drawers and sees that she has a ton of jewelry and notes from someone that he thinks is Trey. He finds, oh, are they earrings? Oh, I think they are earrings too. Jumata Emill, you are also a Miraculous fan, aren't you? I'm headcanoning that now. He finds some ladybug earrings and a note from someone that says, you'll always be my ladybug. Where's Cat Noir? Okay, anyway, sorry. While Marcel is snooping through her drawers, he hears someone coming into her room, so he like hides in the closet real quick, and it is Trey. Trey starts looking through all of her stuff, looking for something in particular, when he's interrupted by her cousin, Victoria. Victoria sees him, and she's like, you need to get out right now, otherwise I'm gonna call my uncle, aka Chloe's dad, who is named Aubrey. While Marcel is hiding in the closet, he sees a note is stuck to his foot. When he picks it up, it's like a sticky note with a letterhead from a hotel called the Belmont Hotel with the numbers 2709 written on them in Chloe's handwriting. He's like, that's kind of weird, but her family goes there for, I guess, like brunch, breakfast, I don't know, rich people stuff. So he doesn't really think too much of it, and he throws the note away. So the next day at school, Marcel tells Amir that he thinks that Trey might have actually been the one that killed Chloe because he was looking for something in particular. He was being kind of sus in her room, but Amir dismisses him and he's like, you've been watching TV too much, which I think is really realistic. Like, Amir wasn't initially on board with like yeah, let's solve a murder. He's like, you're crazy. Also, what I forgot to mention, and and something that I really enjoyed that was added to this book. So Amir's father bails him out of jail. He's on an ankle monitor. He's on house arrest. But this is not the end of his problems, not the end of his worries, because now they have 2 weeks before the grand jury will convene to decide whether or not they want to try to indict Amir on these charges. He's kind of in limbo. He's not like, he hasn't gone to trial yet. So what they're going to decide in 2 weeks is whether or not he will have to stand trial for the murder of Chloe Danvers. Okay? Okay. It's supposed to take a lot longer, but the police have essentially said that they found their killer. They are no longer going to do any fucking investigation to find out who actually killed Chloe, because they're dead set that it's Amir because of one fucking video. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little heated. So they have 2 weeks to find out who actually killed Chloe before Amir is indicted for the charges. Okay, I like that. Now we have a deadline. Now we have stakes. So at school, Marcel decides to do some major investigating. And by major investigating, I mean borderline commit a crime. So he goes up to Trey and spills juice on him. He actually does this, but he does this purposefully. It's not an accident. While Trey is cleaning himself up, Marcel goes into his backpack and steals his car keys. And Amir's the troubled kid. After he gets the car keys, he goes to the science classroom and picks up a black light, because he knows that if he puts the black light up to Trey's car in any part of it, if there is blood, it'll shine under the black light. Okay. He goes out to the parking lot, goes into Trey's car, searches everywhere, but there's no traces of blood anywhere in the vehicle, except for one thing that Marcel does find. He finds a parking ticket for 1:45 a.m. around the same time that Chloe was murdered. And this parking ticket was issued on the street very, very, very close to Chloe's home. He's like, oh shit, I found you. You messed up. I got you. And see, at the end of the day, it's still young adult and it's still kids, and kids don't make good decisions. So Marcel decides to confront Trey publicly about his findings. Marcel fucking admits to breaking into this dude's car to find the parking ticket. So they start beefing. Trey grabs him by his shirt collar, right? And he's about to get into a fight. Amir breaks up the fight. He's like, don't touch my brother. I know. He didn't say half, he said brother. So Amir ends up getting in a lot of trouble for this. They blame the fight on him. I swear to God, this is so annoying for him. So he has to go to online learning. He is not kicked out of school, but they're like, you probably shouldn't come back. And he's like, okay. Marcel goes to the street where the parking ticket was issued and finds out that it's right outside the Belmont Hotel, the same hotel that Chloe had a letterhead from. He sees one of Amir's friends, Quincy, who he also met at the party, who is being very flirty with him, right? So Max works at the Belmont Hotel, and he's a valet, and Marcel asks him if the number 2709 means anything to him. And Quincy says that it's probably a room number. So he agrees to look into it for Marcel. Amir goes to the abandoned church that he took Chloe, and he's trying to clear his head. That's just his happy place. But he notices that someone else is there. Someone who is wearing a hoodie with a bear stitched on the hood. He calls out to the person. They freak out. They run away. They drop from a fucking landing and probably borderline break an ankle. But the person manages to get away before Amir can track them down. Marcel meets Amir at this church, and they're kind of exchanging, not discoveries, I want to say. Marcel is telling Amir everything that he's looked into. Marcel and Amir get into a fight because Amir's like, you always ruin shit for me. Now I can't go to school because of you. I got in trouble. He's calling him out for breaking into some dude's car and getting away scot-free while he can no longer go to fucking school. In this fight, Marcel tells him that apparently his father, Martin Trudeau, was going to fight for half custody of Amir, but decided not to do it because he didn't want to cause Monica any other heartbreak, because he cheated on her, fucking slut. Oh, it would have been her. Ooh. Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no, it's fucking stuck. Oh. Never mind. A lot of emotions just ran through me. Up to this point, Amir was dead set on the idea that his dad didn't really care about him, didn't want to spend time with him, that he had essentially abandoned him to be with his new family. But with this new information, Amir asks his mother about it. Really, he brings it up as like a, can you believe fucking Marcel tried to say this about our dad? But Monica does not deny it. And essentially it comes out that she made Amir believe that he like didn't try to get custody so that he would have a bad relationship with his dad and have more sympathy towards his mother. He's now really upset because he did want a relationship with his dad, you know? The next morning, Marcel gets a call from Quincy who tells him that 2709 is a room number in the Belmont Hotel. Room 2709 is a room number at the Belmont Hotel, and it is specifically registered to one Vivian Crane. Now, you don't know who Vivian Crane is, so let me tell you. Vivian Crane is alt-right extremist, if you will, and specifically, the reason she has a room at the Belmont Hotel is because she is secretly having an affair with one Senator, wind it up, Senator Spencer Winslow. Yes, I didn't tell you that. Their dad is a senator, a happily married senator to someone that is not Vivian Crane. I know. Marcel comes to the conclusion that Chloe probably found this out and was going to confront Trey about it and or bring it to light. Because, you know, she is, she was like an ally. She would go to protests. She was all about that. So she was like, I cannot let one of our senators be in bed with the enemy and not let his voters know. But Trey, of course, didn't want Chloe to tell anyone. So Marcel's like, that just gives him even more motive to kill her, you know? In this chapter, Marcel also admits, finally, after 7-ish years, that he was actually the one that killed Sparkle. Because his mom is talking real heavy shit about Amir. And he's like, you know what, Mom? No. This won't happen anymore. Let me come clean. So yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna get into this later. But the reason I don't like Martin Trudeau is because this fucking dog, man, I swear to God, he must have loved that dog more than his sons. Because, so he thought Amir killed this dog, right? He's like, you can no longer come to my house. Then he finds out that it wasn't actually Amir and it's Marcel. And he gets so mad at him that he's like, I can't believe I broke off a relationship with one of my sons for you. So instead of like being like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be so rash and break off whole relationships with the kids I brought into the world, he's like, let me just break it off with this son instead. I fucking hate this dude. And again, that's not a criticism to how he's written. I think that's just his character. That's just how into the story I am. Like Amir, Marcel, their dad, and the lawyer all meet at one of the restaurants named Trudeau. Marcel tells the lawyer all about their evidence and he's like, oh, thank you. Don't try to do police work. We're trying our best to make sure Amir does not get indicted. That's when they figure out that apparently the lawyer did some digging and he has surveillance camera footage of their principal, Mr. Braswell, who's pictured right here. He was at a convenience store around the same time that Chloe was murdered and at a store that was near her home. So it's very questionable that he was there as well. I know, we're throwing suspicion wherever it'll fucking stick. The next day, Marcel and Tiffany are in class. Tiffany is the brother of Trey, the person that Marcel has been throwing hard accusations at for the last few days. Tiffany and Marcel are beefing really hard. And that's when Tiffany comes out and he's like, you know why my brother was around that area at that time? And she shows him a picture that Trey took of their dad with Miss Vivian Crane. And she says that he was only trying to find hard evidence, irrefutable evidence of the affair so that he could force his hand and say, stop cheating on our mom or I will tell everyone. Trey got a parking ticket outside the Belmont Hotel, but the timestamp on the photo corroborates that Trey would not have had enough time to take that picture and still go to Chloe's house and murder her. The times were too close. So therefore, Trey Winslow is cleared. So after Tiffany gives Marcel all this information, he's like, shit, I don't have a lead anymore. Who else can I throw suspicion on? But then as he's going out into the hallway, he sees someone with a hoodie with a bear stitched onto the back. And who has this hoodie? Colin Perrier, aka Justin Bieber. I'm going to input a message. Gabby, if you're not watching this video, I'll know because I'm referencing Justin Bieber right now. And if I don't get a text within 1 week after this video uploads, I'm going to call you out. I put Justin Bieber on here. I did so for you and you didn't notice. Anyway, just kidding. Marcel takes a picture of Colin's jacket and sends it to Amir. And Amir's like, holy shit, that's the dude. Who is it? And he says, Colin. This is now the first day that Amir has to do his classes online after he was like not kicked out of classes, but kicked out of classes, right? As he's logging on, he hasn't done so since the panini. So Amir logs into his school's online portal and he sees that someone has sent him a message. Up till now, like this feature is not really used anymore again since it's now 2024. Amir opens his messages and he finds one from the one, the only, wind it up, fast as fuck, Chloe Danvers. She sent Amir a message that was scheduled to deliver after she died, okay? In this message, she warns Amir that someone wanted her dead. And if he was getting that message, then that person got their wish. She tells him not to trust anyone, especially if they are white at the school, and that she's hidden a flash drive with all the evidence that she wants to show him in a place where no one else can find it except for him. At the same time, Marcel and Quincy try sneaking into the Danvers home because they think they'll find more answers if only they can go back into Chloe's room. She hides a spare key to their house in a fake rock in their backyard, but when Marcel goes to check, the key is fucking missing. So he notices the key is missing, which he assumes that the killer might have used to get into the house, and that's why there is no signs of forced entry in her bedroom or the house in general. So Amir goes to the abandoned church because he thinks that that's the only place that Chloe might have dropped the flash drive. He's snooping around because, again, Colin was there also looking for something. So he assumes that Colin was also looking for the flash drive. So he's looking around in the church and he digs his hand into like this like crevice and finds the pink flash drive that Chloe was talking about. Marcel and Amir go back to his house. They load up the flash drive and they find a file titled The Game. What is the game? You're in for a ride. You're in for a real treat right now, let me tell you. The game is in reference to a group chat created on one Snapchat messenger, the true villain in all of our stories. If you know, you know. So this game is where the white students at this academy get to play this neat little game where they pretend to sell and trade their fellow black students like slaves. So I read this right after Ace of Spades, which was also a choice, you know? And unfortunately, as we know, you might be saying to yourself, that's so crazy. That's just like, that's only something that can happen in a novel. That's not like real life. We're in a post-race society. These things don't happen. That's just talking nonsense. You'd be so surprised. But then, if you're a person of color, you would not be. So Chloe has compiled screenshots. Well, not screenshots, because if you know Snapchat, if you take a screenshot, it'll notify anyone else in the chat that you've taken one. You know, if you're trying to do things like under the radar, you don't want that to happen. So she took pictures of someone else's phone that had the group chat pulled up, right? So she had compiled all this evidence, which they believe the person that created that group chat was probably the same person that wanted her dead because she had this evidence. This kind of thing coming out ruins careers, which it fucking should. From the usernames in this group chat, they can't necessarily figure out everyone that's in on it, except for one person. One person's username is familiar to Marcel. Who has that username? Colin Perrier, aka Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, man. So they decide to confront Colin, where he says that he was invited to this group chat that was initially conceptualized by the Lanfords, aka Jared and his family, at a Christmas party. And then they decided, hey, you know what? So Jared decided, why do we have to just imagine? Why don't we just play it out? So this motherfucker created this group chat, okay? And he invited Colin, and Colin didn't want to get on Jared's bad side. So he decided, okay, fine, I'll be a part of it, but I'm not going to like participate. So Chloe found out that Colin was a part of this because her and Colin used to be friends. But they kind of drifted apart after her and Jared started dating. Colin agrees to help Chloe. Well, rather she like kind of bullies him into helping her, which is pretty on par for Chloe. She takes pictures of the group chat, but eventually Jared finds out and Colin kind of switches up on her and he tells her, like, you've got to get rid of these screenshots. You've got to stop. Jared's too powerful. He's untouchable. Don't continue, right? After this revelation, I also really like this chapter because I think their interrogation of Colin is great because it's like, and I'll go into it a little bit in my analysis, but I think in general, just the way that they go through this, like the obstacles that they have is much more realistic than it was for the Black Queen, and it's much more intriguing. Like, Colin doesn't really want to tell them anything. It takes a lot of coaxing, and even then, like, Colin is like, I'm not going to help you guys. I'm going to stay out of it, which I think is very realistic, you know? The next day, Marcel ends up talking to Victoria, Chloe's cousin, and she tells him the reason. So in Chloe's message, she says that the reason that she trusts Marcel and Amir, specifically Amir, is because their family can't be bought like hers was. And Marcel's like, what is she referring to? Victoria tells him that apparently, before the events of the book, Chloe's father, he's a contractor, was involved in an accident at one of his construction sites where, unfortunately, one of the employees lost their life because the building collapsed. It was tied back to like some shady business dealings that he was in on, and his business was about to go under. So in order to save him, Jared's father essentially gave him building projects to kind of help him out in exchange that he would get Chloe to stay silent on the game. So later at school, Marcel confronts Jared, which Jared kind of gives him a little timeline of events, or at least Marcel pieces together what this timeline would theoretically be. Jared at one point tried winning back Chloe, but Chloe was not having it. Chloe started dating Trey. Jared, racist piece of shit, did not really appreciate that Chloe didn't want to get back together with him and was instead dating a black kid, right? So he decided to create the game, all because he was mad that she was dating Trey. Marcel goes to tell the principal. He's like, we have no one else to turn to. We have to talk to the authorities. But apparently the principal, Mr. Braswell, already knew about the game. He too was bought into silence by Jared's father. He's a member of the school board. So the principal knew that his father could get him fired. So he decided to also keep quiet about it. I know. Later that day, Amir went out to get some food for himself. You know, he's on house arrest, okay? He has very limited options of where he can go, and he's been cooking all this time. So he goes out to get food. When he comes back, he sees that his room has been ransacked. And even worse, he finds his mother lying on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from the head. Someone broke into the house and stole the flash drive that Amir kept in his room. The flash drive that he found from Chloe, okay? This person saw Monica and threw her up against the wall and knocked her out, right? She's fine. She's okay. She was doing okay. But now, with all this information, the Trudeaus decide that they're going to go to the news to get the story broke together. As one family unit, they are the Trudeaus. And whoever did this messed with the wrong fucking family, okay? Lily Trudeau uses her connections to get a news reporter to report on the game. So the whole purpose of this is to throw suspicion on Jared. When it gets to the grand jury day, they can have some like reasonable doubt that it's Amir. They can be like, well, you guys haven't looked into Jared, have you? You need to look into Jared. It's the next day. Grand jury day. This is the day that we've all been waiting for, the day we find out if Amir will be indicted on first-degree murder. Martin told the boys that they could no longer do detective work. It's very dangerous for them. They're dealing with a lot of stuff that they don't know what they're dealing with. So he tells them to stop, but Marcel refuses. If there's one thing about this kid, is that he is not going to let his brother get indicted for a murder he did not commit. Quincy, along with Buster and a lot of Amir's friends from his old school, decide to help canvass the neighborhood. They go to the convenience store where Mr. Braswell was caught on camera, and the shop owner tells him that the reason, well, rather it's implied very heavily, that the reason that the principal was there is because he's there very frequently. He comes in very sweaty, very hot and heavy, gets some electrolytes, and then he leaves. And it's heavily implied that the reason he's doing so is because he's secretly having an affair. The shop owner thinks that it's because he's like closeted and he doesn't want anyone to find out, but he's not closeted. He just has a husband already. So The reason Mr. Braswell was at that convenience store across town from where he lives is because he was secretly seeing another man that is not his husband, which means that the principal was not actually there to do anything to Chloe and had nothing to do with her murder. Therefore, Principal Braswell is cleared. While they're at the convenience store, they get a call from Buster, and he tells them that there is a witness that says they saw Jared around her house. So they talk to one Mrs. Collier, who is not like, I think I'm saying that right, she's not like super convinced that she saw Jared. She's like, maybe, I don't know, it was Mardi Gras, there's a lot of people that kind of go around, but she specifically notes she saw a girl get into an Uber that had pink barrettes in her hair and sweats, and the only reason she brings her up is because she's like, girls nowadays don't really care about their appearance. What are you doing wearing pink barrettes and sweatpants? Which I'm like, you know what? I'm wearing a black pink shirt and pajama shorts, but you don't know that. You don't know my life. This kind of sticks out to Marcel, and he ends up going through the pictures that he took at the party, the pictures that he couldn't post on the internet because, again, Chloe was murdered. As he's scrolling through the pictures, he sees someone in the background, someone specifically wearing pink barrettes in their hair. And who was it? Tiffany Winslow. Okay. While this is happening, Amir is trying to get his mind off of everything that's happening. He may or may not, very heavily leaning on May, get indicted for first-degree murder. So he goes to his father's restaurant, and they have some very cute father-son bonding time where Amir essentially shows off his cooking skills. Martin offers to drive Amir home so that he's not late for his curfew. While they are leaving the restaurant, Amir runs into Trey Winslow. Now, Trey asks him about the flash drive, and he tries to make it seem as like a, we gotta support each other, as a community, we have to make sure that we build each other up, The real reason that he's talking to Amir is just to make sure that he doesn't tell anyone about any evidence he might have seen about his father having an affair. Amir assures him that they saw nothing on the flash drive and that they won't say anything. Marcel calls Amir as he's going home and tells him that he's going to go to the Winslow's house because he thinks he might have found something, but he doesn't go into any specific details because he's like, let me just clear this up first, okay? And they're like, all right, that's fine. So Marcel goes to Tiffany's house and he says, oh, I have our project if you want to take a look at it. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. Because before this, they were supposed to prepare opening statements for a mock trial. So he strategically brings his laptop, but leaves his laptop charger. And he asks Tiffany if she has one, but she doesn't have a Mac charger. She's a PC girl. So he very strategically, very slay of him, I will say, gets Tiffany to give her his computer because he's like, if she's like me, she has Uber receipts sent to her email. He gets Tiffany to leave and get him a drink, and he's looking through her computer to see if she has any Uber receipts from the night of Chloe's murder, but he doesn't find anything. So he's like, phew. I was worried for nothing. I was over here thinking that cute little Tiffany, innocent little Tiffany, was capable of murder. And of course, she's not. I was just going crazy, right? Or was he? Because he looks into her recently deleted files and finds some of the images that were on Chloe's flash drive, which she shouldn't have unless she had the flash drive. He specifically clicks on a file that's titled Tiffany something, right? Anyway, it's like Tiffany's name and a date, okay? It's a video of Chloe doing a makeup tutorial. She normally doesn't post these, but she does it for fun, like me. I get it. She's a vlogging girl. So she was recording a makeup tutorial when one Tiffany Winslow broke into her home, burst into her room, and threatened her not to expose her father and their affair, okay? At this point, Chloe was not anywhere near trying to expose their affair. She is over here trying to expose the game. But Tiffany found out that she had talked to a reporter. The only reason she did was because she was going to expose the game. Tiffany has no idea what the game is. She thinks that Chloe's only doing this to expose her father. So Tiffany threatens her. How did Tiffany get into Chloe's house? Using the spare key. Everything is falling into place. We now have a motive, a reasoning for why the key went missing, and a witness putting Tiffany at the scene of the crime. Just as Marcel is coming to this realization, he sees the reflection of Tiffany in the window in front of him. She comes up behind him and hits him in the back of the head, knocking him out. Whoa, I know we're getting serious here. Amir has been calling Marcel. Marcel is not picking up
as we previously mentioned, he's just been knocked unconscious by Tiffany. Amir is getting a really bad feeling, and he feels like the spirit of his grandmother is telling him to go find Amir. He has an ankle monitor, and it's now past his curfew. He's not supposed to be leaving the house, and he was warned that if he leaves his allotted zone after his curfew, that police will immediately come to his location to arrest him. So he's like, I can use that. He jumps into his mom's car and speeds over to the Winslows because now they share their location with each other. Amir bursts into the Winslows' house. He finds Marcel on the ground, bleeding, with Tiffany standing over him. They have a scuffle. This is a really intense fight scene that I'm only gonna manage to explain very well, but Trey tries to knock out Amir with like a dish or some sort. Tiffany's over here like get him, Trey, kill him. Like it's weird. It's weird. Like it's this cute little girl. She's like, kill him. It's weird. So Amir, Trey, Tiffany, they're all in like a scuffle. Tiffany's like trying to claw his eyes out. They're all doing their best, right? They're all in a big fight with each other. And eventually they hear the alarm of Amir's ankle monitor start going off. A police officer rushes into the Winslow's house. He has his gun pulled. Amir immediately puts his hands up. He's the one with an ankle monitor. And this fucking bastard, Trey, decides to abuse the system, abuse the inherent biases that he knows this white police officer probably has. Amir's already on the ground. He has his hands up. He's already like, okay, I'm fucked. Trey tells the police officer that Amir has a gun. The police officer is about to pull the trigger on Amir, about to murder him, when all of a sudden Marcel jumps up. He's been like passed out this whole time. He jumps up and he tells the police officer that Tiffany Winslow murdered Chloe Danvers and then passes out again. The police officer does not shoot Amir, instead calls for backup, and everyone is taken into custody. So Marcel wakes up at the hospital after this encounter and everything is revealed. Everything is out in the open. Chloe was trying to expose the slave trade game, as they call it, that was being orchestrated by Jared and a few of their other students, right? Chloe came forward to a reporter. This reporter was friends with the Winslows and let them know that they were about to get a really big story. Tiffany already knew that Chloe knew about their father and his affairs, so she assumed that this news story was going to be about their father. So Tiffany threatened Chloe, as we saw in that video. At the party, Trey and Tiffany were arguing because he was telling her again to make sure that she did not say anything and to make sure that she kept her mouth shut. So Tiffany decided that she needed to take matters into her own hands. Tiffany used the spare key that was in the fake rock in their backyard to break into Chloe's house. When she came in through the back door, the living room is concealed from that specific point of view, so she did not see Amir sleeping on the couch. She thought Chloe was alone. She went up to her bedroom and stabbed her, killed her, and then left. They didn't know that Chloe had a flash drive with all this information, but as Marcel was leaving the principal's office after trying to tell him about the game, he tells Tiffany that there's evidence of a game, and he specifically references the flash drive, which is how they knew that they had it. So Trey broke into Amir's house to try and get the flash drive back. Of course, all building up to the final events of the story, with Marcel and Amir figuring out that Trey Winslow is not cleared. Okay, let's get this off. Okay, let's go through our first round of stickers. So Jared, who Marcel was previously dead set on was Chloe's murderer, is now cleared. Although he is suspended for creating the game, so we like that. Or no, I think he's expelled. Anyway, he gets some repercussions. Okay. After Marcel, Amir, Trey, and Tiffany were all found at the Winslow's house, they were taken into custody, where eventually Trey admits to everything. He tells the police all about Tiffany, the flash drive. He tells them the events of the party. All the information suddenly comes out. So now we know for sure Tiffany Winslow is guilty of murder, and Trey Winslow, her beloved older brother, is also guilty. He is an accomplice to this murder by trying to help cover it up. Sorry, I know we were in the middle of some big tension. I had to confirm my coffee order. So we have found our real culprits. Since Trey came forward to the police and let them know that Tiffany was actually the one that killed Chloe, all charges were dropped against Amir, and he is Cleared. A happy ending. So to celebrate Amir's freedom, they have a cute little cookout at their house. Their family is back together. Everything is going great. Lily apologizes to Amir for all the things that she did to him, and she admits, so she tells Amir that the reason that she kind of didn't really treat him very well and acted like an evil stepmother was because she was afraid that Martin would not accept Marcel because he's gay, because she knows that there's a very heavy stigma about being gay in the Black community. So she tried to essentially build up Marcel very heavily in Martin's eyes, but by doing so, she was tearing Amir down. And she says, you know what? I'm really sorry. That was really awful of me to do as the adult in this situation. I'm gonna be better, and I'm sorry, and I understand if you can never forgive me, but I don't want this. I don't want these bad vibes anymore. They're all on this path to healing, and especially Amir and Marcel. They now have a good brotherly relationship with each other. They're not just half brothers. They're brothers. Quincy and Marcel end up kind of getting together at the end, which is approved by Amir. Again, Amir and Quincy are friends. Everything is all good. Also, Spencer Winslow, the senator, has to step down because he's like, I'm going to focus on my family. Yeah, he's got to focus on getting them out of fucking prison. That is the end of Wander in the Dark, the newest release by Jumata Emill. So now let me go into some of my thoughts and reflections, all right? So one of the big improvements that I've seen from the Black Queen is, again, their perspectives are very even. It goes pretty evenly back and forth between Marcel and Amir, so I get a good look into each of their perspectives. I think their voices are incredibly distinct, which I will say might also play because I listened to the audiobook. So they're physically played by different people, but I think like it was easy for me to distinguish between their voices. Amir specifically talks about like code switching. So I think Marcel he's portrayed as someone that like has existed in predominantly white spaces for a long time. So he has a different cadence of speaking as compared to Amir, who speaks in like a lot more slang and things like that as compared to Marcel. As a child of divorced parents, this really, really spoke to me because I feel like including the dynamic of their families and having a lot of their collective character arc be about repairing and actively trying to move past all the things that have happened to them beforehand and try to come together as a family for when it really matters, when in this case, Amir was accused of murder, so they had to come together, was really great. And I think part of that arc was also propelled by the fact that, like, the game, there were so many people that were against Amir and the Trudeaus as, like, a family unit. So I think that kind of also helped propel this arc to help them come together. I didn't mention it, but Jared's father also tried to buy out Martin because he was losing sponsors, obviously, because his son was indicted for murder. Well, attempted to indict for murder. So I think it's great because it also doesn't like try to force them together. I felt that it was very natural the way that things were coming about because they were able to kind of set aside their differences, at least to help make sure that Amir got out of the situation safe and soundly. And a lot of the adults' kind of growth was propelled by their children. So since Marcel and Amir were actively trying to have good relationships with each other, their parents tried to have good relationships with each other. Oh, I also felt, so the use of like buzzwords, which was like a thing that I really did not like in The Black Queen, was definitely toned down. I felt like a lot of the dialogue or some of the characters' inner thoughts really let these things kind of play out. When Trey kind of uses the cop to kill Amir for him, it's very implied about like why this cop would do that. Again, a lot more subtle this time around, which I really enjoyed, that we didn't need it like hammered to us, which was great. I thought the use of the deadline for the 2 weeks was also really great. I would have liked a countdown just because, at least in the audiobook version, I was kind of like losing track of how many days it had been as the story progressed. So I was like, when it got to, oh yeah, tomorrow is the day that the grand jury is gonna convene, I was like, whoa, I had no idea. It's been 2 weeks already. Holy shit. So I think like, at least for the chapter titles, maybe I would have liked a countdown to be included, but I mean, that's very small. For this book, I really liked that we were constantly ping-ponging back and forth between Amir, Trey, Jared, the principal. Like, we really couldn't pin down who it was that was Chloe's murderer until like the pink barrettes. I'm gonna say I don't care if anyone is like, oh, it was so easy to tell who the murderer was. No, it fucking wasn't. So yeah, I felt like in this book it was a lot more like up in the air. Like I really wasn't seeing who could have done it. Everyone had like a pretty good motive. Overall, I really like this book. I'm gonna give it, my rating scale is all sorts of off. I'm gonna give this a 13 out of 13 stars. Why 13? Because February 13th was Fat Tuesday this year. So that's where my star rating comes from. I definitely love this book. I think it really spoke to me. I liked the characters a lot more. I was able to connect with them a lot more. And again, part of it is because I do have like a personal history that's associated with this. So I might have been a little bit more biased to like it. So overall, I like the story. I like the characters. And there has definitely been significant improvements from the criticisms I had of the Black Queen. Do I still like the Black Queen? Yes. Do I love Wander in the Dark? Of course. With that being said, that was Wander in the Dark by Jumata Emill. Thank you so much for watching. And, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and say sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm too blunt and I'm a little mean when it comes to my criticisms. And I can acknowledge that, can learn from my mistakes. So I'm glad that I read this book and I didn't really let any of my preconceived notions or any of the criticisms I had for the previous book impact my review and experience of this book, because again, I really did love this. I loved the ending. I loved everything about it. So I'm really glad that I read this, and I'm looking forward to any other new releases that come from Jumata Emill in the future. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this review. I know I said I was going to read Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World in the last one. That's a lie. I'm a filthy liar. I'm not going to make any bold assumptions for what my next book is going to be, but just know that I'm probably already reading it. So please like and subscribe. Comment on this video if you like it. And yeah, and of course, thank you to Jumata Emill for highlighting my review and my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.